I think with Dave Rennie, he's been in the systems in New Zealand. Now he's been away a little bit. So he comes in and he's starting something new. He's going to start this is the All Black culture I want.
Victor, he's got a very good win record against South Africa with Australia. So that's good, 72%. So you guys should be shaking in your boots.
I'm very impressed. All Blacks got a coach. You two guys are sitting next to each other without killing each other. I think the Springboks got trouble this year.
This is a hard job. What people don't realise is, if you're coaching, Transvaal, then you've got those stakeholders. But when you coach South Africa, you got the whole country, and it's the same with New Zealand.
Firstly, you just gave your age away talking about Transvaal. They haven't been Transvaal for 30 years. But, with the talent that the All Blacks have within your country, you just need someone to put them in the right direction, give them a little bit of direction on how you want to play.
Are you worried? Sounds like you're worried, Victor. Sounds like you're worried, mate.
Are you? Are you all together this morning?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Everything is coming together with the All Blacks, huh? You two are getting closer. Mate. That's got a coach.
Yeah, it's all coming together.
Yeah. How are you, mate? You're good? What do you think of our news? What do you think of Dave Rennie?
Wait for the show.
What show?
We're going to start
I'm talking to
Rivals.
my mate.
Yeah. Welcome to Rivals. Victor Matfield and John Kirwan, Sir John Kirwan, sitting next to me here. Now you can talk.
I'm very impressed. All Blacks got a coach. You two guys are sitting next to each other without killing each other. I think the Springboks got trouble this year. Everything is just coming together.
There's a big chance that I will kill him. He's so annoying live. It's way better seeing him on video, Victor. It's horrible. He's so annoying. I had to walk out of breakfast this morning because he was annoying the shit out of me. But what do you think of Dave Rennie, mate?
I think I know him a little bit from back in the day of Super Rugby where he coached the Chiefs. And, the Chiefs were always a team that were in the bottom part of the table. And then he came in and he made a formidable team. So, yeah, I think with the All Blacks, I think you get different coaches. I've seen now with Japan, or if you coach maybe a Wales, whatever, you need a different type of coach. I've seen the way Eddie coach, let's say with a Japanese team, is completely different than I would think he would coach a South African team. But he knows the culture, he understands the players, and that's probably the only thing the All Blacks need is someone that really put out a culture there and give them clarity on how they want to play. And I've read a little bit about him. He said he knows exactly how he wants to play. He will be under pressure, but I think he's a rugby man through and through.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm a big Jamie Joseph fan and friend. And I think probably what pipped it at the end was just Dave's experience. I think coaching a first-tier squad, and he has been through a lot of adversity. I think understanding the pressure that comes with it probably pipped it in the end. The nice thing that came out of it for me also, Victor, was, they spoke to each other this morning. It was just a nice way they went about it. And I think the process has been very thorough. And if you look, and I will probably blame South Africa because I think, without Brownie involved with Jamie, I think a lot of people saw Jamie and Brownie as a coaching pair and a very strong one. So once Rassie decided not to release him, it probably changed that in Dave's favour. But I would have been really happy with both of them. I was thinking also about whether it'd be good for Jamie to go in as assistant coach and maybe do what the All Blacks have been doing for a little while, maybe getting them to get him in the job and then he could take over. But it just depends, that both two head coaches, so maybe they just, be like you and I working together, possibly Ricardo, just really annoying. Yeah.
I think the other thing as well is, I think it's very difficult to go from being a current provincial or franchise coach into that role as All Black coach. I think, and that's probably something that made it very difficult for Scott Robertson as well, because he's got such a strong Crusaders culture that's worked for him, and now it's difficult because it needs to be an All Black culture. It can't be a Crusaders culture that all the other guys needs to adapt. And I think with Dave Rennie, he's been in the systems in New Zealand. Now he's been away a little bit. So he comes in and he's starting something new. He's going to start like this is the All Black culture I want. It's not coming from the Crusaders or the Highlanders or the Hurricanes or whoever, or the Blues. So I think that probably helps a little bit as well.
He actually referred to that in his press conference where he said, the good thing is I don't have any preferences towards players. I'm coming from being overseas for 9 years, so everyone's got to earn the jersey from scratch, So that was obviously something very important to him. One of the other things that he said a couple of times in his press conference was that he sees one of his strengths of putting good people around him. So, it's going to be fascinating, JK, who he does have around him, whether he holds on to the current group of assistant coaches, whether he brings his own people. What do you think?
I think he'll understand the difference in roles and understand the different pressure that his assistants will be under. From what I've heard, Jason Ryan came through the review positively, so he's probably someone that you'd keep on board for continuity, because I do think continuity around players, like whether your selection's still starting from scratch, you're probably going to start with 30 players that have been there before. You're not going to start with 30 new players. So I think continuity is going to be very important. I think he'll understand, like he got Wayne Smith involved with the Chiefs. I think he'll understand the next level, and I think he'll look around the world for people that he might have worked with, and they might be with him in Kobo, I don't know, but I think he'll go, okay.
So you're saying around the world, so you're thinking they might not be New Zealanders?
No, I don't think. I think he'll have some foreigners. Did you not listen to his press conference, Ricardo? He said for people in the Southern Hemisphere, stop being so annoying thinking that Super Rugby and our rugby's the best. That's exactly what he said. So
I think you'll make a mistake to go with the current coaches, assistant coaches. If he maybe keeps one or two of them. But I think as a coach, you need guys around you that think about the game like you do, people that you trust, people that you've worked with, people that you know will strengthen your weaknesses. So it will be interesting to see if he keeps the guys. But I think if I was a head coach, I would want to come in. I would like to bring my own guys, the guys I trust, the guys I know think about the game. So we can argue, but we still have the same idea about the game. So I would be surprised if you keep all the assistant coaches.
Well, I think Victor, what he said, and also Ricardo said, one big thing he said, I need people who I trust. And I think that's this is a hard job. What people don't realize is it gets really creaky and you've got to be in the same trench together. And if you lose a couple, it gets, when you think about, and I think your point about provincial coaches is a good one, Victor. When you think about stakeholders, like if you're coaching, Transvaal, then you've got those stakeholders. But when you coach South Africa, you got the whole country, and it's the same with New Zealand. So, I think, I think he will have the ability, and he did say that some of the Japanese teams would beat the Super Rugby teams, but I just don't believe that. I don't think they're as good as some of the rugby sides.
I mean,
that level yet.
Firstly, you just gave your age away talking about Transvaal. They haven't been Transvaal for 30 years, but no, I don't agree. Look, I think that top league in Japan is a great league for them, and it's nice to watch. It's great attacking rugby, but I think the physicality in the back and forwards just aren't there still. So I think he's taking a leap of faith there. But I mean, we've seen with South Africa, players playing in Japan, coming over, they only play 10 games a year, then they only play international. The bodies are fresh. It's a fast game, especially for the backs. So the guys come back very fit from the Japanese league. So maybe he's fighting to get New Zealand to think differently about this, players playing abroad and players that he can pick for New Zealand as well. Because I still think, there's few players, Retallick, Frizzell, Mohanga, that will make a huge impact in the New Zealand team.
He talked about Retallick. Retallick is the top try scorer in the Japanese competition at the moment. And I don't know if you saw the highlights from the weekend, but he he ran like they were 70 points up, and he still ran down and did a ankle tap to save a try. I mean, he's playing out of his skin. I mean, would you expect to see Brodie Retallick back in All Black colours?
If he's
I think
available,
he'll
I'll pick
try.
him immediately.
The thing is, I think the most important thing, and we were talking as a bunch of ex-All Blacks last time we got together, it's a project. This is a 15th month project. I mean, he's not even going to be here for a month before the July tests. This is not ideal. So it's a project. And I think someone like Brodie Retallick was just an outstanding lot, but also a great leader. Does he want to do it? Does he want to come back? Would he want to do that sort of stuff? I don't know. But I think what Dave will be going is, this is a project for 15 months. I'm going to do whatever I can to get us in the situation to win South Africa. I mean, two things for you, Victor. He's got a very good win record against South Africa with Australia, so that's good, 72%. So you guys should be shaking in your boots. But the second thing...
That was before Russie's time, wasn't it?
Hey?
That was before Russie came in.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I'm just taking the 72%. And then the other thing he did mention, which I think we're all aware of, unless you guys throw a game, is we're going to be meeting in the quarterfinals. So teams that have probably never been knocked out in the quarterfinal stages ever before, one of us is going to get knocked out. So he's already got that in mind. So it's a massive project, and it's a 15-month project. So
that was a great answer. But when we were talking about Brodie Retallick, I was actually.
I just want to go. You still need to beat Australia first to meet us in the quarterfinals.
What do you mean? What do you mean, Victor? What are you
saying?
The
Brumbies has beaten the Crusaders. The Reds has beaten the Hurricanes. Things are happening there.
Hey, mate, it's a happy day for New Zealand rugby. We've just appointed a coach.
Yeah.
Stop trying to bring us down.
Yeah. But you're already playing the psychological games. But he did say that he's excited about the greatest rivalry ever, where we go back and win since 1996, a series away. And even if we aren't playing Transvaal, which I'm really annoyed about, they don't exist anymore.
You're not playing Transvaal, but you are playing the Lions. You're playing the Lions.
Mate, just call them Transvaal and get those old jerseys back, mate.
Did you ever play for Northern Transvaal?
I did when I was like 19 years old, and then they changed to the Bulls.
Oh,
and at 21, you're Transvaal and at 21.
You're old as well, so So what's the reaction in South Africa? You've been poking fun at us for the last few months because we don't have a coach, but now we have a coach. How do you think the All Blacks will shape up against South Africa?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the greatest rivalry. I actually had a chat in the week, and people asked, next World Cup, can South Africa win it again? I said, of course we can, but I still believe there's only 3 teams that can win the next World Cup, and that's South Africa or New Zealand or France. I think those 3 teams will be in a different class, and those guys can beat each other on any day, and anyone can beat anyone. So the All Blacks will always be there. I still feel for Scott Robertson. I mean, he's probably the best provincial or club coach ever to come out of New Zealand. And yeah, it's a pity he couldn't pull things together with the All Blacks. But the All Blacks is going to be tough, even if we play them 4 times at home. And again, I mean, Scott Robertson had 3 away starts against the current world champions. So it wasn't easy for him. And Dave Rennie is going into the same thing. It's not 2 games at home, 2 games in South Africa. It's 3 games in South Africa. That's what he starts with. So it's not going to be an easy start. But I mean, still stays the All Blacks. All Blacks is the Springboks. Anything can happen.
I think the thing I'm excited about, and I agree with you, we can't never forget the human side of this, and Razor losing his job is tough. I think the interesting thing about Dave Rennie is he does come from a little bit of a different philosophy about how he wants to play. I do think he's a heads up, play what's in front of you. I do think he sees that as a New Zealand style. I do think that he wants to have tough forward packs that are dominating, especially defensive rucks. He'll want hard players that are going to be really on the edge. He will bring a bit of edge. So I think he's got that nice balance. And I think what your average New Zealander wants is we want a game that we can identify with, and we talk about your DNA in South Africa, we talk about the Irish DNA, we talk about all this sort of stuff. But for a New Zealander, it's really, really important that when we're watching, we feel that we're playing a style of game. We're not following trends like, kick it 60 times or, South Africa's really good at putting up the high ball, so we should do it. So I think he will bring a little bit of a different approach, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, and he's also got, in Kobe, he's got Adi Sabia, who's obviously a pretty important person in the All Black makeup. So, there was some talk, just reading some of the media reports about, that Dave Rennie had a lot of support from the current players. But this question for you, Victor, how important do you think the players' opinion should be of a coach?
Yeah, it's so difficult. At the end of our careers, we probably had a lot of say as well about the coach, but it's always difficult. If a coach picks you, you're always going to back him. If he doesn't pick you, you want someone else. So I don't think the players should have a say in who's the coach. And we've seen it with Rassie. He's changed it completely with South Africa, where the players come in, they do what they do. Yes, of course, they've got an input on how they want to play. But whatever Rassie say, whoever he picks need to perform. And if someone throws his toys because he's not picked or he doesn't play in a big game, or if he doesn't start in a big game, Rassie will just cut him. So the coach got to decide what's the best for the team, and the players needs to follow that.
Yeah, I don't know if I totally agree. I think the players are, and if you're trying to build a culture, I think the players are a fundamental part of it now, and they're way bigger stakeholder than we used to be. I
think they need to buy into the belief of the coach, but they can't have a say who's the coach.
No, I agree with that. But I think if you're assessing a new coach, and I don't know if they spoke to modern players, Ricardo, but I think what I understood from the press conference was David Kirk went and asked players that had been coached by Dave Rennie. And I think that's a good point. I think that what we're talking about is, with this last process, what I hope happened and what I believed happened was the process was correct. So nothing was personal. They just asked the players the right question. At the end of the day, we're playing big stakes now, and I think the players should never pick the coach, but they can have an opinion on the style of play and what they're doing, but that's really the coach's job to make sure that he gets that culture right and that everyone feels that they're contributing to it. But I think what they said today, Ricardo, was they asked players that have been coached by Dave, and I'm sure they asked the same of Jamie, and I think they both would have come back with really good reports. I think the difference between Dave and Jamie would have come down to, I think Dave's got more experience internationally, and I think the current board think that's important because they think that was one of the negatives of Razor. He didn't have that international experience, and like I said, if you coach the Transvaal, then those people love you. You coach South Africa, you got the whole country, and when you're dealing with brands like the All Blacks in South Africa, that's a worldwide thing. Every South African, and there's a lot of them living in New Zealand and Australia, and they are South African fans, and and same with Kiwis. We're all over the world, so you've got to get that. You've got to get that right.
It's sort of ironic though, because they're saying that we need a coach with international experience, top level international experience, and that's given Dave Rennie the edge. But we've just got rid of a coach that's just gained 2 years of international experience. So we've sort of said to Razor, I don't want to sort of go back, was that a good or bad decision? But we picked a guy, we gave him the opportunity to gain some international experience, and we got rid of him.
Yeah, I think that's a very singular approach to probably why it happened. I think there was a series of things. The pressure, the style of rugby, the culture. I think there was a whole lot of different things in that. And honestly, I coached international rugby, not at the highest level, but in the second tier. So Italy and Japan, which I loved. When I came back to the Blues, there was way more pressure on me on the Blues than there was coaching Italy or Japan, because, we wouldn't beat the Asian teams. And if we won one game, we beat Fiji, we won the Pacific Nations Cups, it was fantastic. Went to the World Cup and drew with Canada. That was a success, But this is, New Zealanders expect us to win. They expect us to win against South Africa over there. And I think the other point for me is that world rugby has changed, and Dave Rennie was very forthright in saying that today. The world game has changed, and there's a lot of good coaches, and there's a lot of good players, and there's a lot of good rugby going on outside New Zealand.
I've got to say that Dave Rennie was, and he was very impressive.
Lower your expectations then.
Pardon?
Shouldn't the All Blacks just lower the expectations a little then?
Yeah, well,
that's the most. I mean, have you been drinking that bloody clip off or whatever that shit is you drink? You've been drinking this morning before you go to work. Like, come on, mate.
No, but I mean what Dave Rennie is saying. I mean, I don't think, and maybe you might have another golden era, but I don't think you're going to get teams having an 80% win record like the All Blacks did in the old. And I mean, that's why they're the greatest team of all time. But like Dave Rennie said, I mean, France, England, Ireland, everyone is up there, Australia. I don't think we're ever going to see again that one international team wins over 80% in a year.
Look, I don't not disagree with you, but I think one thing that the All Blacks, if they lose, we need to lose by 1 or 2 points and it goes down to the wire against the top 5 or 6 in the world. Like, I think what really surprised us was getting smashed in the second half by you guys and losing by 20, and then losing to England after being like, we want to see a style of game, and we want to see an attitude that we can identify with. I don't think we have the expectations of we're going to win everything, but like, we wouldn't want to be whitewashed when we come to South Africa. We want whoever wins it to be winning the series, and you go, shit, it could have gone. You remember, Ricardo, when we played Australia here, we lost the series, but across the whole series, there was the same amount of points scored, and it was just two really good teams going against each other. That I get. I don't think New Zealanders will go, we want to win all the time anymore, but we want to have a standard that we've got to keep, a style of rugby and a standard that we're going to keep. And if we're going to lose, we're going down, it's right to the wire.
Two things really stood out for me, not that anyone cares what I think, but especially you. But one is that we seem to have matured a little bit as a rugby country because, growing up during you're either a Grizz Wiley man or a John Hart man or a Laurie Mains man. There seems to be quite a, Scott Robinson, Jamie Joseph, Dave Rennie, all really good people that everyone was really comfortable with as people, that they seem to be. I thought Dave Rennie was excellent in the press conference today. He, he gave plenty of praise and respect to Jamie Joseph. Obviously Jamie had given the same back to him. It seems to be a lot more mature. They're a lot more mature than maybe you and I are.
Well, you're immature. Yeah. You always have been. But it's just the hardest job in the world, Ricardo. Like, it's just a really hard job, and anyone who's been there and understands that pressure will have respect for anyone else that's doing it. When you look at the NBA, I'm not a basketballer, but I look around their courts and they're always the same coaches. There might be a young guy that pops in, but then all the same coaches do the same cycle. It's such a hard job on you, on your family, from a pressure point of view, expectations. So, they have a mutual respect, and that's how it should be. No, I wouldn't, put them across the white line and it becomes competitive like I would be with Victor. But it's just a hard job. Coaching's a hard job.
Well, the one thing about All Black coaches, and I think Scott Robertson was probably a bit younger, most of them has come through almost that All Black culture. They've been assistant coaches for long. They've worked in the game. They've been in the game. They're guys that's really respectful to everyone in rugby. And they're just good people, and I think that's what Dave Rennie is as well. I think he'll be a guy that drives culture, that have respect for everyone, the players, everyone around him. And I mean, that's all you actually need. I mean, with the talent that the All Blacks have within your country, you just need someone to put them in the right direction, give them a little bit of direction on how you want to play.
Are you worried? Sounds like you're worried, Victor. Sounds like you're worried, mate.
Just trying to make it that it's going to be a competition, this rival, sir. We're not going to whitewash you. I'm just trying
what's interesting is I reckon 2 tests in, when we're two zip up, and there's been some controversial moments, Victor will be going, "That Dave Rennie, what a cheat! I can't believe he's doing that. He can't believe he's the worst person in the world." So yeah, it's nice to get it out early before the series starts.
Yeah. I know we're joking about it, but I just think that rugby needs to make sure that it keeps the human side. I know that, and I don't want to keep going back to Razor because we need to move on, and he'll probably doesn't want to be talked about either. But we can't forget the human factor. We can't forget that Dave's a bloody good man, and so is Jamie, and we need to take some of that rivalry, not our stuff, Victor, but some of that out of.
Keep the respect.
Yeah, keep the respect. Make sure that rugby keeps the respect. Make sure we keep the human side of it. Keep our game as it should be. Sitting down after the game. On the field, kick the shit out of each other, but then after the game, sitting down and having a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I think there's so many different type of coaches out there. I mean, in South Africa, we have Rassie that's out of the box and he do things different than any other coach. Then you have a guy like Johan van Graan with Bath, who's really successful, but he's like an old style, believe in values and all these things. Then you've got a Franco Smith, again, different with Glasgow. And these guys are all great coaches and they can all be successful at this level. It's just a lot of the time in coaching, it's the right timing, right people around you. And I'm telling you now, there's no chance Razor won't come back. You'll coach somewhere, you'll be successful. You'll go coach international, get the experience, and maybe one day he comes back to New Zealand or even South Africa and win a World Cup. You never know.
And for Victor, watching this show is a bit like watching those two old guys at the Muppets that sit in the sort of yelling from the side of the theatre.
Speak for yourself.
See? All right, mate. Thanks for your time.
Go back and finish that brandy before you go to work.
Full 9. I just finished my paddle game. And I'm going to do paddle. Do you play paddle?
Game?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't play that stuff, mate.
So now I need to go work for a bit. Cheers, boys. And I'm glad at last you're a coach. Fantastic.